Has it even been said enough times just how fast time flies? I can't even believe it's the 17th of January and it's the first time I'm picking up the camera to vlog. Time is flying. Though really when you're pretty busy, time is gonna definitely fly. Happy New Year guys and welcome to my channel. So I haven't been feeling as well really. Last year sometime in May I contracted H. pylori. H. pylori is a terrible bacteria. It's the leading cause of ulcers, and I was treated for it in the Kaisha, but it can sometimes leave the gut messed up, inflamed, or with ulcers or something. So since that time I've never really been stable, and in the past about 4 days I haven't been well at all. So even now I'm at home. I've had one of those lazy days. It's 11 and this is the time I'm thinking of having breakfast before I go back to hospital and just get my final diagnosis and be treated. And I'm really hoping and praying that after this treatment I'll be completely done with this thing, and because I really wouldn't want to live with acid reflux or acidity, hyperacidity, or ulcers. I really wouldn't want to live with it. I really wouldn't, and God knows I wouldn't. So I want to get well, and I'm gonna do what I need to do to get well. Otherwise, my year has started out pretty well. I feel like that's such a deep and long story. I know it's gonna pour out as we go along, but God has really refreshed me towards the end of last year. I just felt renewed and refreshed and rejuvenated, and yeah, so things are looking up. I can describe 2018 in one word right now as promising. It seems really promising. So yeah, I look forward to all that's gonna happen. Today I'm gonna share with you on intentionality, but before I do, I'm probably gonna fix up some breakfast, and I'll see. I probably should after breakfast or after hospital. I'm thinking of taking myself out on a movie date. I hope that works. I'm gonna check the schedules for see you later. I believe in intentionality and I walk in it as one of my major life principles, and I felt that while the year is still young, this is a really great time to share about intentionality, this being a value that I believe once we incorporate in our value system, it can shape our lives and bring us to living better lives, bring us to living more intentional lives. The word comes again. And so intentionality mainly involves purposeful living. That there being a purpose attached to every decision that you make, every move that you make, every word that you say, every post that you share. I believe you get it. It involves making necessary decisions that, first of all, some things will clearly be a non-issue for you. There are some things in my life that are a non-issue. I do not have to think about whether I want to walk into a club or not. I'm not in any way bashing anyone's lifestyle, but for me, I don't really have to think about whether I want to or have to walk into a club or not. because just the life that I live, basically what I carry, what I do, and all that does not allow for that. So that becomes a non-issue. I do not have to spend time thinking about it, contemplating it. If it's a current struggle in my life and I need to get through with it, then I can easily just channel my energy into working towards breaking down that cycle to becoming a better person. Intentionality, therefore, brings you to channel your energy into the right things, that you put your thoughts and your even physical energy, whatever energy, emotional energy, into things that will actually build you, things that will actually contribute to your tomorrow. Yes. The other thing is that intentional living really organizes your life in a way that you're able to prioritize things. You know what you need to do, when you need to do it. You know what you can put for later. You know what's a liability, what's a luxury. You know when it's time to rest, when it's time to work, when it's time to play, and all that. And I feel like that really just brings a certain order into life, that you never really waste time, because time is one of the assets that we can never really reverse. You can lose money and get back money, but you can never really retrieve time. So being able to organize your life in a way that you know what you need to do when you need to do it, you know what you can put out for later, and all that, really just I love it. I just feel like it's so orderly, and that's my third point: order. Just having order in life. One of the second Bible principle after the supremacy of God, because Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God." That's the first Bible principle, that God is first above all, the supremacy of God. The second principle we see is order. God is so orderly. He portrayed it in the way that He created the earth. And we see it every day in just how he does stuff, and as His children, we really ought to incorporate that order into our own lives. Order is so important. And the other thing is that being intentional enables you to keep within your boundaries, the boundaries that you've set. So it starts with setting boundaries, and then intentionally living such that you're able to live within those boundaries. I feel that many of us young people, or even, okay, young is relative, but I feel like many of us young people, we frustrate ourselves a lot because we fall into things that we don't really want to fall into, and then we end up feeling so guilty, feeling so downtrodden, feeling so horrible about ourselves, backslide and all those things. And I think that once we are more intentional about every move that we make, then we can easily push ourselves to not walk into anything that really we clearly know will lead us into a deep pit. So I feel that we living within certain set boundaries is very, very crucial, and intentionality is the value that's really one of the values rather, that's really gonna help you stick within who you say you are, stick within who you want to be, stick within who God wants you to be. As I wind up, here are a few things I think about intentionality that I feel that are also key to just keep in mind. And the first thing is that I might have mentioned it already, that I feel like intentionality ought to be a foundational principle in our lives. It really governs a lot of what we do. It really governs our decisions in a big way, our actions and all that. We will be able to live to our fullest potential when we incorporate intentionality into how we live our lives. And I feel that we need to this ought to be foundational and cut across all areas of our lives, all aspects of our lives, such that you don't end up living a contradictory life, that you're not applying intentionality in your schoolwork, or in your at your workplace, but in your relationships, like it's all over the place. I feel that this ought to cut across every area of your life. Just be intentional with each and every one of them. The other thing is that intentionality really involves one's belief system and one's mind, one's way of thinking, and one's, yeah, you're a Christian, yeah, it is going to, that's going to influence then how intentionality plays a role in your life. That point seems so all over the place. I do not know if I've explained it well. And the last thing, intentionality is not synonymous to rigidity. It doesn't mean that because I am living an intentional life, then now you become rigid, like you're not open-minded, you're not spontaneous. Be intentional with being spontaneous as well. Be intentional about being open-minded as well. Like, that's something I personally had to learn. I was one very rigid person, rigid in the sense that if I wanted something to be like this and it's not like that, then it just messes up my whole day. But there's really so much fun and a beautiful sense of freedom in spontaneity and in open-mindedness. But of course, now while inputting intentionality, then you're able to know the limits and everything. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you for journeying with me. I appreciate. I wish you a beautiful new year. I have come to realize that because I'm not into full-time YouTubing and blogging and stuff, it's honestly a bit difficult sometimes to post weekly. I'm not excusing it though. I promise to do my best. Thank you and have a beautiful new year. I love you.